Willie D Live.
What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. I'll let a few hundred of y'all come in and then I'm going in. But in the meantime and in between time, I'm going to give some shots out to the early birds. Let's see who we got here. Steph Bell, what's up? Man down again. Let's see. Nick Johnson, what's up? Damon Hill, Flipper Top. What is that? JSRH. Will Watts, what up, Will? Bobby Booker, Fort Worth, Texas, in the building. NC, stand up. Damn, Rudy. Ruth Robinson, boxing and barbecue. That's a good one to stop on. Boxing and barbecue. Going in, fam. Let me put my subjects up here right quick. Family, let's talk about some uncivilized mutts. These two subhumans are accused of adopting Black children for the sole purpose of making them slaves. They've been identified as a wealthy white West Virginia couple. They adopted 5 Black children and locked them inside of a barn. Donna Ray Lance and his mate, Jenny K. Whitefeather of Charleston, West Virginia, pleaded not guilty on Tuesday to multiple new charges after their kids were found locked in a dilapidated shed after allegedly laboring on the surrounding farmland. Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers said the couple targeted their 5 kids, aged 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6, because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves. According to the original arrest report in October, the 16 and 14-year-old children were locked inside of a 20 by 14 shed with no lights, food, or water, with the camera planted in the top left corner of the room. The children, who smelled of body odor, were found wearing dirty clothes with sores on their feet after a wellness check was performed on the outhouse in Canine Lane. The shed sat on the grounds of the couple's 5 acres, 3-bedroom, 295,000 Sissonville property. They also owned an 80-acre, $725,000 home in Tonasket, Washington, which they sold after their arrest in October. Check out what the uncivilized female mutt said. She stated that the barn where the 16-year-old girl and the boy, 14, were found was a clubhouse for teenagers. They were not held against their will. It was a clubhouse for teenagers. They were not held against their will. Yet, the so-called clubhouse had no way of being unlocked from the inside. What clubhouse do you know, family, where you can walk into, but you can't walk out unless somebody on the outside lets you out? Sounds like captivity to me. The so-called mother told the deputies that the children, who were all homeschooled, actually liked the shed they were locked in. Sounds familiar? You know, there's people out there who have made statements saying that slavery wasn't all that bad. You know, that somehow they helped Black people by enslaving Black people. That there are uncivilized mutts out there, including some Black people who are uncivilized mutts, who have made that statement. How is it that they helped us by enslaving us? How is it that they helped us when we taught them how to be civilized? Moving on. Although the mother said that the kids were homeschooled and actually liked the shed, the teenage girl told deputies that they had been locked in the building for approximately 12 hours and were last given food at 6 a.m. This is on the day that they were rescued. The building only had a small RV porta potty and no running water. The children were also forced to sleep on the hard concrete floor. The criminal complaint stated, if there was a medical emergency or fire, the children would be unable to escape or exit the locked room safely. Court documents said that the neighbors reported that the children were forced into a farm labor and were not allowed inside the main house. Sound familiar? Filings also state that the teenage boy inside the outhouse smelled the body odor and had open sores on his bare feet. 3 hours after finding the older children in the locked shed, deputies found a 9-year-old girl holed up in a loft inside and family's locked main house, and inside the family's locked main house. So she was in a loft inside of the family's locked main house. Lord knows what they was doing to her inside of that house. Lance came home with the 11-year-old boy, while Whitefeather surrendered their 6-year-old girl to authorities, who had been with friends from the couple's church. Child Protective Services were called at the time and took custody of the children. The new charges the couple are facing include human trafficking of a minor child, use of a minor child in forced labor, and child neglect, creating substantial risk of serious bodily injury or death. Their bond has now been set at $500,000 each, which is $300,000 more than each of their original bonds. The latest indictment outlining the upgraded charges claims the couple is guilty of human rights violations, alleging that the couple forced their children into hard labor because of their race. Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers told Metro News that this case is the first of its kind that she has seen in her career, and that the couple's original bond of $200,000 was insignificant compared to the severity of their crimes. Along with human trafficking and neglect, with serious risk of bodily injury or death, I don't find the bond to be sufficient, Akers said. It alleges human trafficking, human rights violations, the use of forced labor. Human rights violations specific to the fact that these children were targeted because of their race and they were used basically as slaves from the indictment alleges, from what the indictment alleges. The minors involved were ages 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6. The indictment suggests that 3 of the adopted children were Black. Prosecutors previously raised concerns that the couple's joint $400,000 bond money in February might have come from their alleged human trafficking activities. Kanawha County Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Christopher Krivanyak reported that the couple, who had previously claimed to have no assets or income, sold their $80,000 acre ranch in Washington for $725,000 on February 2nd. 3 days later, Weatherford's brother, Marcus Hughes, posted 2 $200,000 bonds to get the couple out of jail. Then on March 28, Krivanyak noted that they had also sold their home in Sissonville, where they were arrested for $295,000. Prosecutors concluded that despite whether or not the money was obtained legally, it was originally intended for human trafficking. Deputies say that there are no prior records of the 2 adults in West Virginia. Kanawha County Sheriff's deputies previously said that a complaint was made back in May 2023 about the couple, and a second complaint was made in September. The nature of those complaints was similar to the charges the pair now face. In both cases last year, deputies said that they did not find any wrongdoing when they made a trip to the West Virginia home. They said they saw the children inside the home, and on one occasion, they were eating dinner. Oh, wow, 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 they were eating dinner. Nice. That should do it. That should solve the case. They were eating dinner. No abuse there. CPS was also called on the family, according to their neighbor, Stacy Miller. Miller told West Virginia Watch that she witnessed the kids out in the yard with their heads down and forced to stand in a straight line. She described what she saw as forced manual labor. Neighbor Miller said that she never heard back from CPS about the worries. I'm supposed to do the right thing and call for a government entity that us taxpayers fund to not feel like I was listened to at all. That's heartbreaking for me. The couple's initial bond money is now in the custody of the court. Weatherfeather's attorney, Mark Plant, said at the hearing in February, the main allegation is that these children were locked in a shed. The evidence is going to show that there was a key inside. This case, on its face, sounds atrocious. However, there are 2 sides to every story. The next court appearance is September 9th. He said that, now let's go back to what the attorney said, Mark Plant said at the hearing. The main allegation is that these children were locked in a shed. No, you uncivilized mutt. The main allegation is that these children was forced into slavery. That's the main allegation. It takes an uncivilized mutt to represent an uncivilized mutt, or a pair of uncivilized mutts. What's up with the caseworker? The caseworker, we all know that adoption agencies, just like foster agencies and every other type of government agency all around the United States of America, we know that they all need to be dismantled because they're corrupt from the top down. The caseworker should not only be fired, but put in prison. And these charges should be upgraded to hate crimes. It never seems to amaze me at the level that so-called humans in America will go. These uncivilized mutts are the same uncivilized mutts who be online all day, every day, big up in cops when they shoot black folks, or anybody who do black folks wrong, or that group black folks together when an individual or a small group of black folks do something uncivilized. These are the same uncivilized mutts. I bet you if they go through their social media, I bet you they'll find all kinds of racist comments. I bet you they'll find all types of shared racist posts. Guaranteed. Look at these uncivilized mutts. They look like sister and brother. This is what that shed looked like on the inside. The barn. That's what it looks like. That's the outside of it. So this is what I tell people all the time, fam. For those of you who think that slavery is such a distant thing that it could never happen again, it's already happening, as you can see right here in West Virginia. And they ain't the only ones. They're just the only ones who got caught. There's places all around this country right now where people are buying and selling people and using them for forced labor. And Lord knows what else. Sometimes people are being held captive and being forced into human trafficking and slavery right under your nose, right in your so-called perfect community. Do you know what your neighbor is doing, what your neighbor is up to? Now, some of y'all say, well, that don't affect me. You know what, mind my own business, Well, hey, you can mind your own business till your child come up missing, till your daughter come up missing, your son come up missing, your grandchild come up missing. And now all of a sudden you want to know who the neighbor is next door. You really want to get to know your neighbor now. Now you're knocking on your neighbor's door. Have you seen her? These uncivilized mutts in America are more pervasive than you could ever imagine. And all of them don't look like these two. Some of them look more put together. These two just look like the average Trump supporters or Biden supporters. Yeah. They just look like the average supporters, you know, just the average middle American, low down, uncivilized mutts. This fool said that the kids actually like being locked up. What kid you know like being locked up? What human being do you know like being locked up? Hopefully they get to go to prison for a long time. They're absolutely going to prison. Hopefully they go for a long time and that they're there long enough to get some good old-fashioned prison street justice. And that's automatic. It's no way possible they're going to go in prison and come out unscathed. Totally impossible. The attorney is just as much as an uncivilized mutt as they are. This fool said the main allegation is that the children were locked in a shed. That's the main allegation. Forget the fact that they were forced into labor. And if they did that, if they forced those kids into labor, if they forced them to behave like slaves, then you know everything that came with slavery. You better believe that sexual assault was happening also. And not just against the girl, but the boys too. You got to think about what kind of deviant would want to hold a human being captive, would want to force a human being into slavery. You got to think about that, how deviant, how demonic you have to be. So this is one of those demons where anything goes. This is the type that'll stick their penis into a woman or a man. It don't even matter. They ain't got no boundaries. An adult or a child, they ain't got no boundaries. Let me tell you something, fam. People don't just get accused of forcing people into slave labor. And white people in this country damn sure don't just get accused of forcing black children into slavery. Especially white, rich people. So if they say they did it, they asses did it. Remember, when they were first reported, police waved it off. CPS waved it off. They didn't even go out there and do a welfare check on them. They just waved it off. If it wasn't for the neighbor, it would still be going on. Salute to the neighbor who spoke out, who initially made the phone call, who made it her business, not their business, who made it her business to alert the authorities. Stacy Miller is her name. Let me get these uncivilized mutts off the screen for a moment so I can get Stacy her propers. I ain't got no problem with that. That's what's up. For all of y'all out there who think that what's going on in your neighborhood and somebody else's house ain't got nothing to do with you, you are sadly mistaken, even if it ain't in your own house. Now, obviously, there are lines, there are boundaries. But there's certain things that people do inside of their house that might be going on inside of their house that could be of great concern to you. Well, it ain't my business, man. You know, mind your own business. It ain't my business. Or what if your neighbor is inside of his house putting a bomb together to blow up the school that your child attend, or blow up the church that you attend, or blow up the apartment complex that you live in? That ain't your business? No, you got within reason, man. Yeah, within reason, what your neighbor got going on inside their house is your business. Some of these kids get beat up by their parents, get abused by their parents, get beat down by their parents. And then they go out into the world and they beat up other people's children. And they shoot and they kill and they rob and they maim. But it wasn't your business. Maybe you could have said something, you could have done something, but yeah, it ain't my business. It's your business now. Now that you are 80 years old and you're not as mobile as you used to be, you're not as agile, you're not as swift, you can't defend yourself like you used to. And now that youngster that grew up in the neighborhood that you ignored, that you just looked down on and didn't care nothing about, you never stopped to try to check on this kid, never try to give him any kind of game. All you did was point the finger, look down on him, and just like, yeah, stay away. I'm just gonna stay away from him, stay away from him. And now that youngster is the same one coming through your window, coming through your side door, coming through that sliding door. Now that neighbor got the gun in your face, that little youngster got that gun in your face while you sitting in the driveway at your house. Yeah. You can't ignore these things. You can't think just because everything good in your house, everything good in your life. You can't be thinking just because you got your house in order that what's going on outside of your house can't affect you. Because that little youngster out there who ain't got no manners, who ain't got no sense, who ain't got the proper training, who ain't got no love, is the same one that'll take a gun and aim it in a crowd at a party that your little nice, innocent, well-behaved, well-mannered, good, solid, productive, straight A student child that'd be the same one that indiscriminately squeeze that trigger and gun down yours. Is it your problem now? We ain't got no choice but to look out for each other. And that's just even if you want to be selfish about it. For those of you who just really, really selfish, that's a good reason to be selfish. Even if you don't want to, you got to do it just for your own safety. You got to kind of look out for other people for your own safety. You don't like your neighbor don't like you, but y'all got to look out for each other, because when somebody rob your neighbor, you next. Somebody get off on your neighbor, you next. Believe that. Because when it's sweet, when robbers, thieves think it's sweet, they coming back. So they hit up an apartment complex and they get away with enough stuff that they like. Oh yeah, okay. Well, maybe some other ones out here living this, they got the same kind of money. Let me go and try another one of these houses. Then another one, then another one. So you got to look out for each other. You see the kid in the street, kid playing in the street. Y'all know that's dangerous. It ain't got to be my kid. I'm finna go up to him and, hey, get out of the street. What you doing? It's too big of a risk to take for the child to get ran over. I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want that on their parents' conscience. I'm gonna go step to them. Hey, get out of the street. What you doing? Somebody speeding down the street, I'm the dude that'll step out. Hey, slow down. Slow down. This is my neighborhood. Slow down. You're driving too damn fast. It's human beings that live on these damn streets. Some of y'all dog lovers. So y'all might say, hey, it's dogs out here. Whatever motivates you. That neighbor, Stacy Miller, she the real deal. Stacy Miller, say her name. She's the real deal. Because she saw something and she said something. You see some kids forming a straight line out in a field doing manual labor. There's something odd about that. I'm gonna tell you something else that's odd, family. Here's an easy way for anybody to pick up on abuse. Watch this. Some of y'all got family members and friends that are abusive. Some of y'all might even be abusive. I'm finna call you out right now. Watch this. Here's one of the simplest ways to tell if a child is being abused. When you go to their house, when you go into the house, when you visit them, if the house is really like spotless, if it's kids in the house, even if it's one kid and the house is spotless, there ain't like one thing out of place. There ain't no, there's not a toy on the floor or shoes left by the door, the kid's shoes left by the door. The kid is quiet. The kid is in their room playing a video game and they're not making any noise. They're totally silent. They're silent. I ain't talking about for like a minute or two. I'm talking about you've been at their house for a whole hour and you didn't know the kid was even at home because he was so damn quiet. That kid is being abused in most cases. Got to leave a little wiggle room because some of y'all say, well, my kid is just quiet. He plays game quiet all the time and I don't abuse my kid. In most cases, I'm telling you how this go, man. I've witnessed it. Kids are unorganized. They naturally forget things. They naturally leave things behind. I'm not saying that your house got to look like a pig pen if you got kids, because your house can be still very clean, but something be out of place. You can still have a toy left on the floor or some shoes by the door, and overall your house is still immaculate. But if that house is spotless and you can't even tell that a kid live in that house, you don't even hear a kid, any noises, no yelling, kids are disruptive. All of them, even the good ones. They playing games, especially if they got a friend over and they're playing games and you don't hear any noise. That kid more than likely is being abused. No matter how cool you are with the parents, that kid, no matter how cool the parents appear to be to you, more than likely that kid is being abused. Miss Jazzy is in the building. What's up, Miss Jazzy? Paul Harrison. What's up, Paul? Let's see what Paul's talking about. Paul dropped the dub on me. What's up, Paul? Let's see. I want to thank you and your channel members for throwing up prayers for me. As I've stated, just got out the hospital and I'm much better after stroke. Thank you so much. Absolutely, absolutely. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, prayers up, prayers going up, prayers continuing to go up, because I know that there are, some struggles post-stroke. After people have strokes, a lot of times, they have, that's cognitive issues sometimes. There's people have mobility issues. So, it's not had a stroke, went to the hospital, back home, everything fine again. It's a, there's a road to recovery, so to speak. So we're with you, man. We're with you, man. We're throwing up those prayers for you, man. Anybody else going through it too, man? Prayers up, man. Prayers up. Heed, what up? Jared G. Stephen Tenner. Lanita Pittman. What's up, Lanita? Stacy R. Willetta White. What's up, Deborah Dub? My Holy King. Andrew Stewart. Step Mommy, what up? Marcus B. Soul Vibration. That's what's up. Carlos Benson. What's up, Carlos? Family, if you're just not joining, we were discussing these uncivilized mutts. These two are the worst human beings in the history of civilization. They could not accept that slavery was over. They could not accept it, so they wanted to bring slavery back in their own supremacist way. They wanted to bring slavery back. So these wealthy white West Virginian people, they forced their black adopted children into slavery and to live inside of a lot born. Donald Ray Land, 63, and Jenny K. Whitefeather, 62, of Charleston, West Virginia, pled not guilty on Tuesday to multiple new charges after their kids were found locked in a dilapidated shed after allegedly laboring on the surrounding farmland. Kanawha County Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers said the couple targeted their 5 kids aged 16, 14, 11, 9, and 6 because of their race, and they were used basically as slaves. According to the original arrest report in October, the 16 and 14-year-old children were locked in a shed with no lights, food, or running water, with the camera planted in the top left corner of the room. The children, who smelled the body odor, were found wearing dirty clothes with sores on their feet after a wellness check was performed on the outhouse on Canine Lane. Canine Lane. The shed sat on the grounds of the couple's 5-acre, 3-bedroom, 295,000 Sissonville property. They also owned an 80-acre, $725,000 home in Washington, which they sold after their arrest in October. To be innocent, they sure are acting very suspicious. They called the shed, they said the shed was a teenage clubhouse and that the kids were not being held against their will, but they actually liked being locked in the shed inside of the clubhouse. So let's get this straight. Their lawyer said there was a key inside of the shed. A key inside of the shed, but they were locked inside of the shed. First of all, it ain't hard once you get popped, get out of jail, get out, and go plant a key inside of a shed that you used as a prison for your 5 adopted black children. The children were forced to sleep on a concrete floor, fam. These are the conditions. These were the conditions of the shed. The kids were made to stay inside of an RV porta potty and no running water. That's what was inside of the building. A small RV porta potty and no running water. They were forced to sleep on the hard concrete floor. If there had been a medical emergency or a fire, the children would have been unable to exit the locked room to safety. The children were forced into farm labor and were not allowed inside of the main house. I ask you again, fam, does that sound familiar? Forced to do farm labor and not be allowed inside the main house. But I'm sure they were allowed inside of the main house when they wanted to be pleasured. I bet you $1 to a donut they used them for those purposes. Guaranteed. They're not the only one. It's a lot of them that look just like them that would want nothing more than to have themselves a slave or two, black specifically. They really admire their great-grandpappies and great-grandmammies. They really admire them. They wish that they could have had that opportunity to have somebody who they could control, or human beings who they could control like that. Now, I can guarantee you what's about to happen. These two uncivilized mutts are going to turn on each other. They are going to turn on each other because that's what uncivilized mutts do. I'm gonna read a few more comments, and I'm gonna shut it down, fam, because I can't stand looking at these monsters. Miss Jazzy is in the building. What's up, Miss Jazzy? Joanne Lanier. Myra Tanksley. Yantaki Robinson. Yantaki, I like that. That's a live name right there. Yantaki. That name sounds kind of unisex. It could be for a man or a woman. Mario Gibson, what it do? Julian Thomas. Yeah, fam. This is when Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam say devils, this is who they talking about right here, fam. This is what they mean. Those are devils. Devils. And both of them look like they breath stinking. Both of them look like, even though they were the ones holding the black kids hostage, they both look like they stink. Look at them. Look like they don't even use soap. That's my time, fam. I appreciate y'all joining the live. Boy, what a society we live in. What a society we live in. Hi, fam. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. Until next time, no more talk.